Dynamic GT League. La Coppa. Dell'Asino. Rampante. Dynamic GT League. La Coppa dell'Asino Rampante.
Hello everybody and welcome to Dynamic GT League's La Coppa Dell'Asino Rampante for race 8 from Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. Quick look at the current standings. SGP leading away on 118, 4 ahead of Steve F1 and Demon R. Jason's in 4th place on 82 points with Fluffy not far behind in 5th, Dave the Harp in 6th, Conrad 7th, Rich Blues in 8th, SRI 9th, Bunsel 10th, Twilight 11th, Formula Gary 12th, Jimmy in 13th, Art Powell 14th, Mitch in 15th, tied with Hay, and in 17th is Tyler. Unfortunately, a few drivers missing from today's race. Art Powell still missing with his injury. Jimmy unable to get online with having moved house. Rich has decided to run off to Paris, and a couple of the other guys unfortunately a little bit busy. So there is only 10 drivers for today's race, so let's see how they got on in qualifying. Steve F1 once again taking pole position with a 125.403, 0.323 ahead of Demon R, who joined him on the front row again. Jason will start 3rd again, and SGP 4th again. Dave the Harp though will start 5th this time, moving Fluffy Planet to 6th place. And on row 4 we've got Formula Gary, who'll line up alongside Twilight. Bunsel, row 5, and he will start alongside Hay, who didn't get to set a time. As I mentioned, a few drivers missing. SRI also not feeling too well, so get well soon, Mr. Sniffles. That name's sticking, Ray, definitely. What it does mean as well though is because SRI hasn't been able to race and he's not well, he's not on commentary either. So let's hand over to some different commentators. So here we go then, Brands Hatch, and joining me in the commentary box is the inspiration for the G-Spot. How are you, Gary?
Je suis ooh la la, plenty bar.
And we've also got the reigning champion as the lights go out, and away they go. Jason's had a shocker of a start. Yeah, Twilight joining us in the commentary box. How are you, champ?
Yeah, I'm not so bad. I've been away a little bit, doing some more practice in the next year's car, so obviously not feeling this one, but here we go, this race.
Well, what we've got heading through the hairpin is Demon R and Steve F1 side by side as they make their way down towards Graham Hill Bend. I had to look at my track map there. They're still side by side. I wonder if they're just trying to block the road off from SGP. There's no Steve Friends anymore.
No, definitely not. Steve F1 trying to go around the outside of Demon R, but can he make it stick? Yeah, I think he can. He's gone there. He's off. You
do realise you've just basically said he's made it stick in his butt. He said, but can he make it stick? Yes, he did.
Someone's just been on the brown stuff.
Oh dear, that might happen a lot around here, you know, Gary. I mean, it's one of the tricky features of brands, actually. Well, yeah, sticking's fine, stinking's not. Or Hay in the background getting a little bit sideways there. Just having a look on the pack cam as well that you go, SGP's ran wide. Oh, if he wanted to do well here, it's not gone well at the start of the first lap.
And he's off grass cutting. He doesn't need that at the start of this race because he needs to make these points up.
Well, you're absolutely...
He's lagging in the championship.
Yeah, well, and someone who's usually lagging on track a little bit is Jason, but he's going for the move up the inside. Has he got the move done? No, he hasn't. But can he stick it up his butt? No, Dave can, though. Very much this can happen a lot.
It's a good overtaking spot here now down into Druids. Yes. Can he make it stick here?
No, he's not been able to do it, has he?
No, Gary, he's not gone for it.
Yeah, Formula Gary in the background, side by side with Twilight. Oh, this could get interesting with the commentary box. Jason,
it might be a bit of a saga.
A saga holiday. You're not that old, boys. Demon R, has he got a run on the back of Steve F1? Interestingly, Surtees corner is a corner that Demon R usually struggles with, but it looks like he's had a decent run out of it on this occasion. Steve F1 defending the inside, and it looks like Demon R can't get past. Jason's dropped back a little bit as well. And here's a question for you guys, as we are sort of rapidly going through this race at about 120 mile an hour around Brands Hatch. Your thoughts on this track, Gary? Ooh, bit of a door change sideways. Oh, sorry about that. Twilight's just punted him. Bunsel through as well.
And Hayes has hit the grass.
Oh,
Yeah,
He lets him back through, so that's very nice of him.
yeah. Go on, Gary.
Yeah, thoughts on this track? Really, really good track. I think it's starting to grow on me. There's no room for error. It's a full concentration track. This is any mistake, any going on the grass, going on the curbs, it's game over.
It's like Jason. Oh, Jason's going for the move up into the hairpin. SGP didn't find that one, Twilight.
He's not made that one stick, and he's defending quite well there.
Here's Dave the Arp, next in line. Fluffy's gone a little bit wide. Has he stayed on the... Yeah, stayed on the track just. Steve F1 wobbling a little bit on the pack cam down in the bottom right corner. SGP hasn't got a run on Jason. Oh, who's that, Bunsel? Oh, I don't know. Taking out.
You've gone for a burger.
I was going to say ice cream cone because he nailed the cones, but all fluffy. All fluffy. Is he going for it? It might be. Demon Eyes on the back of Steve F1
As long as he's not gone for what he says on the side of his car.
that he didn't know said on the side of it. I still can't get past that, you know. It's almost as bad as Gary not knowing what the G-spot is.
Well,
I know, I can't actually believe that.
Yeah, you're not getting in on that one, Gary. You know, not with me and Twilight are here. Mr. Savage himself. I did say not like Jimmy Savile, not at all. More like Macho Man Randy. Oh yeah. If you've never watched WWE, you won't know about Macho Man. But anyway, Gary's looking like he's attacking Fluffy, but Twilight is there as well. This is right. How are you two in the commentary box while you're racing?
we can multitask. We're good at that shit.
All right.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, we'll see about that. Gary going for the move up the inside of Fluffy. He's got that nicely done. Twilight may be able to capitalise as well. Got to be careful of Hay behind him though as they make their way down towards Graham Hill Bend. A very awkward little left-hander as you see Fluffy running a little bit wide and then making their way towards Surtees, a corner that is so crucial because get this corner wrong, you're a sitting duck up the straight. Get it right, you might make some moves as SGP got a bit of a run on Jason, but Dave the Harp there as well.
And looks like SGP's struggling to get past Jason there. Whether he's struggling for a pace around here, I don't know.
I think you might be right. Not only that, Demon Old closing in on Steve F1 on the pack cam. Dave the Harp looking quick, but may struggle a little bit with tyre wear. I mean, tyre wear is going to be an interesting one around this track. What I will say though is, Jason, everybody is still there right behind Jason. Steve F1 and Demon R though have broken away a little bit, so they've got a sort of a bit of a window to play with, or play in, should I say. But for Jason, he's under a lot of pressure at the moment with SGP right behind him. And for the championship standings, guys, very interesting situation at the moment in that with SGP in fourth and Steve F1 and Demon R out in front, we could have quite a bit of a point swing in the standings because there's only a 4-point gap between Steve F1 and Demon R to SGP.
Yeah, it's very close in the championship at the moment. Can they get a bit closer in this by the end of this race?
Maybe Twilight, the reigning champion, can get right up there as well.
Somehow I doubt that.
I think I've finally conceded now as well.
Yeah.
What, you've conceded that he's not going to get... Or Gary's conceded. The Formula Gary's actually not conceded by the looks of it. Trying to make a move off Fluffy on the pack cam. Tricky to make a move though, isn't it, Gary, through the back part of the track here?
Yeah, you've got to be careful because if you're on the outside and you carry too much speed, you've got to give space as well as be aware that you can easily get put onto the grass. So you just need to just play it safe and just overtake in the right places.
That is true. So if we're about to see Formula Gary do a dive bomb. Having a sneaky look around the outside, trying to switch back. Can't quite get it. A little bit of a wobble. I think that was actually saving the car from dipping a wheel on the grass because I think from experience, we all know that you do not want to be doing that. Hayes just given Fluffy a little bit of a tag there. They both survive just about, as Jason's still ahead of SGP at the moment, but Fluffy right in the thick of things, and David Harp coming under a bit of pressure there, Twilight. John.
Yeah, he doesn't need that, does he? About pressure and like screaming and wheels around the corner and burning them tyres up, so hopefully he can get back.
Yeah.
Is that why he's painted his car red? So they blend in with his tyres?
When they're burning, yeah, could be. Oh, Fluffy's got a run on him here. That could get interesting, especially for the 2 cars behind them, 3 cars behind them. Gary and Hay side by side. Bunsell doing the bump drafting. David Harp holds on to the position, but is Fluffy going for a switchback? He's trying, but Dave's covered it. Oh, Fluffy, bit of a...
See you later, Fluff.
Yeah,
There you go.
bit of a tank. Oh, bye, Hay.
Oh, guys off.
I think Fluffy was trying to go for the switchback. Dave covered it off, and then I think Fluffy tried to change direction. Dipped a wheel on the grass, and around she blows. Demon Art still right up the rear wing of Steve F. Well, no, he's not. He's heading into the pits. Interesting. Just before 10 minutes, and that's going to put him right at the back. SGP pitting as well. Yeah, that's going to put him right at the back.
SGP going in as well, yeah.
Yeah, but it'll put them right at the back, but they'll get a lot of boost. That's going to give Demon R a massive undercut on Steve F1. But actually, Demon R's coming out of the pits ahead of Dave the Harp.
Oh, that is so close to getting that done.
It is, but that's a surprisingly short pit stop, guys.
Did he forget to change tyres, or?
Did he not put fuel in?
Because SGP's in the pack.
We don't do film.
You're cocked on then. We don't have fuel in this one, yeah. Well,
But saying that, usually the pit stops have been about 20 seconds plus, haven't they?
yeah, that's kind of why I'm a little bit surprised there that the Demon R. I mean, okay, it's the Well who's come out ahead of Dave Harper, ahead of the pack, but the idea of pitting early, as he did there and SGP did, would be to get the boost, to get the undercut. But if it's only Fluffy, he's nearly gone again. He nearly took Bunsell with him there.
Wants a bit more green on his livery.
That he does. Breathe in, boys. Got a little bit of attack from behind there as he was trying to be a little cautious. He's wobbling, and SGP.
Yeah.
SGP.
Maybe from dirt on the tyres.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Fluffy, having had the big off the previous lap, is not going to. He's going 4 tyres.
Oh, he's in the pits. Yeah.
Can he get it slowed down? Yes, he can. Just about. So Steve F1 hasn't pitted. You see, 'cause this is an interesting scenario now, Gary, because if Demon R was going to get the big boost and undercut Steve F1, Steve F1 surely would have pitted straight away the next lap. Oh, big contact! Hey, we're Bunsell. Oh dear. Oh, geez.
Yeah, I think Steve's going long here to extend his gap as much as possible, or?
Yeah, possibly. Or someone else, I think Bunsell's just gone off as well. That was a bit of an unfortunate collision. I didn't say exactly what happened, other than Twilight and Hay. Oh, it was Gary. Sorry.
He's got a
Gary going off.
on his bumper.
Yeah, he just
Released.
I've heard of parking on the apex. It's the first time I've heard of parking a cone on the apex.
I mean, who leaves the cones on still?
I know,
Come on.
I know. Well, hang on a minute, Twilight. The cone that he just left there was one that lets you know that it's not the short circuit, not the one that tells you where to turn in or brake. Isn't that right, champ?
Okay.
Wink, wink.
I'll lay him off this time.
Good. Twilight's got a run on SGP here. I wonder if he's
Yeah,
actually
he's got a good exit there.
Oh, that's what his wife said.
Can he get the switch back?
All about the
SGP's
energy
on the
there.
dirt. He's gone for it.
Oh, Gary's gone for the pit lane. Twilight, SGP. All down the
Side by side down to Panic Hills Bend.
He's got it done. Or is he going for a switchback?
Yeah.
He's trying. Is he going to move across to cover him? No.
No, he didn't have a chance.
Oh, it's close.
Some bullying racing there around the outside. Can he do it?
Ooh, little sideways. Is he going to be brave on the brakes? Is he going to do a Verstappen on Hamilton from Brazil? No, he's not. Oh,
no, he gives it up eventually. Brilliant racing.
Oh, that it was. Demon R now has caught up to the back of Jason. I don't know exactly
Seriously?
Yeah. I know, because we've got the footage. Here he is, look. As SGP and Twilight still battling on the pack cam. But, yeah, I mean, very short pit stop. I don't know if Demon R would have known that's how long the pit stop would have taken, because, like I said, pitting early, you pit to get the boost. And he's had no boost coming out in third, really, or very limited. And he's now caught up to Jason. So I'm wondering if when Steve F1, if he decides to pit, Demon R running a bit wide, whether Steve F1 would be able to pit and come out ahead of Demon R. Because if that's the case, it would show that, pitting early will not have worked.
Yeah. And the only way he would know that is off from practicing pit stops previously. Practice for seeing someone in the pits and come out.
Demon R was going for the move around the outside, dips into the gravel though. Oh, that's going to cost him a little bit of time.
Yeah, to make it work, he needs to get past this Jason there, doesn't he?
Yeah, Daddy does. That's it. Rub it into SGP that he's not even in second place at the moment. It's almost as bad as me saying Harry and Gay. But which, Gary, if you don't know about, well, then we know you didn't listen to that bit of the video either.
I think I might have heard something about that, but I thought it might have been related to me for some reason.
I don't know, not at all.
I need to listen back.
It was purely accidental. Demon R trying to make that move on Jason has cost him quite a bit of time, actually. Looking at the I'm glad you remember. Looking at the pack count, it's cost him a few seconds, that's for sure. SGP coming under a bit of pressure. Hey, dipping a wheel wide. Twilight and Bunsel closing in on Fluffy. Oh, Fluffy ran a little wide. Twilight trying to stick his nose in.
Sticks his nose in. Can he make it stick?
Ooh, you know what?
He gives it up. Some great racing there.
Yeah, good racing there. That can easily lead to one of them going wide on the grass there with the contact, but no, that's good racing.
Definitely. That's actually always Twilight's going to go for it now. Oh, no, he's not. That has just made me think of something we can discuss in the G spot later on. If you guys remind me, and that's to do with when cars are side by side and then one is just ahead and goes for the apex. So remind me about that, because there is something I do want to talk about there. And it kind of showed with Twilight and Fluffy then. Is that Bunsel coming under a bit of pressure from...
It's very much like the no-no zone, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Very, very much like, although the fuzz, as we call it,
The fuzz, that was it.
Yeah, the no-no square. Oh, Jason's ran a little bit wide in Surtees. This could be Demon R's opportunity. If he wants to capitalise, he's going to have to do it right now. Takes the slipstream, looks to the inside where Johnny Herbert had his massive crash, and up the inside he goes. He's got to make sure he gives Jason the space, which he has. Jason trying to switch back. Demon R covers that off, basically says, no you don't, in broken Swedish, and so Demon R now behind Steve F1. The question is, how far behind? How big is that gap? Steve F1 going through the final corner. It's Twilight, and he's into the pits as well. Oh!
We'll see what happens here. See if that accident earlier pays dividends, or
it'd be interesting to see. You're looking at the pack cam as well. Twilight still got Hay behind him. Steve F1 coming out to the pits
Jason
now.
In.
Yeah, Jason is. Oh, Dave's off. No, he's in. He's into the pits. So Steve F1 has come out in front. And how big is the gap? Let's take the bridge. 1, 2. Well, it's 3 seconds. It's a 3-second gap. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised.
So that little off earlier could have cost him.
Yeah, big time. And then Fluffy right in the middle of an SGP Twilight sandwich. Stars all around him, and none of them famous. But yeah,
you got to make the most of it, haven't you?
That is true. I will let you guys know, because I've been busy today, even though I wasn't meant to be. I haven't actually had the time to gather some jokes together, so you're safe from that today. If you're wondering when they're going to be coming, you're all right. I've had the chance to get them. Something that someone has had a chance to get, that is Jason with a fresh set of tyres. So he's come out in 7th as Fluffy. Doing well here at the moment, actually, closing in on SGP. SGP's pitted. So was Steve F1 and Demon R. So I think SGP might be struggling here, you know, guys.
Yeah, he's showing a good bit of pace around here, Fluffy, with very little practice. You know, who knows what could have been when he could have a bit more practice, instead of driving around on his scooter all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, the moped. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
His pedal and pop.
Chicken chase.
That's going back a few years. That is the old pedal and pops. Fluffy got a bit of a run. Jason is a bit of a. He's in the Gary Gary Hayes sandwich. Got it right this time. At the back there.
Must be tasty.
Oh, I don't know. Or SGP may have ran a little bit wide there. Fluffy got the run, heading up to Hairpin Druids. Oh,
Yeah,
nice
he's got it
move.
stopped, and SGP sort of giving that up quite easily, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm wondering if SGP's, I don't know, maybe he's not feeling it at this race today.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe he's sleeping in that driver's cab.
Oh, he's going wide. He's definitely doing that. Unless he's, he's trying to go for a little bit of a better exit out of the corner, get a run on Fluffy. Jason managed to get a nice move on Hay as well, and so did Gary. So Gary now behind Jason. SGP having a look up the inside. Oh, Fluffy luckily spotted that he was there.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, that's another point. We'll mention that on, well, not another point.
Yeah.
Kind of goes to the point that I want to mention about the G-spot as well, because it could look like Fluffy just went for the apex, but I don't think that's the case there. Okay, Twilight now closing in on SGP as well. Jason still got Gary right behind him, and Fluffy, no!
Oh, Fluffy!
Oh,
So easy to do there.
That was a great overtake.
what a move by Dave the Harp. Dave will appreciate that one. Bunsell heading in to
Bunsell
the
in
pits.
the pits.
Now, interesting, we are just about sort of halfway through the race now, as Hay having a look at going around the outside of Gary, can't quite get it done. But yeah, I mean, that's disaster for Fluffy. He may end up heading into the pits. He may not, he may be able to keep going.
Jason closing into back of the Twilight quite quickly here.
Yeah, I mean, Jason's been, he's having a look up the inside.
He's having a look.
He's looking a bit impatient to get past here.
He forces Twilight out wide, but I have to have a look at that.
I'm hearing some radio chatter there. Is that Jason? As for my meatballs. He's not Italian, but that's my best Swedish accent I can do. Looking at the pack cab, Dave trying to stick his nose between Hay and Twilight, thinks better of it.
It drops out. That's good racing, that, to have awareness, just to drop back a bit.
Well,
I think I'll go for it on the next corner, and he's got Twilight there, so...
Yeah. Well, I was going to mention to you both, I mean, we've seen in the past when racing around this track, drivers on occasion try and make overtakes through this section when it's a massive risk to do it. I mean, it's one thing if you're sideways. It's one thing if you're already side by side going through the corners and making a move. But if you're coming from quite far behind, it is not really the place to be trying to do a sort of dan dare on the brakes, is it, Gary?
Definitely not. I've also found, I don't know if you guys have found, that if you're following quite closely for a while, you seem to either overheat the tyres or it's the turbulent air. If you just back off a bit and then have another attack, it seems to come back to you, and you're able to attack the guy in front a bit cleaner.
Yeah, definitely do. I mean, Dirty Fair is definitely a feature, isn't it, Twilight?
Yeah, especially with the boost as well. Let your tyres cool down, and you think about overtaking the right position, you can easily get past them.
Yeah.
You can use it as an asset as well.
Definitely. I think Gary's just ran a little bit. It was a little bit wide on entry. That may have just given Dave a little bit of a run. I don't think he's nowhere near close enough to attempt the overtake at the moment. Hay may be close enough to have a look, but he's thinking, see, that's one of those where in the past Hay perhaps could have gone for a move there, but it wouldn't have necessarily been advisable. Dummy a move, get Dave out of shape, get him looking in his mirrors rather than where he's going. But Dave has been able to look forward to the tricky right-hander now, where we often see cars spin around by dipping a wheel on the left-hand side. No one's done it yet, though, that I remember.
No, he avoids it this time. Can he attack him down into Paddock Hill Bendo and set him up for this?
Dave's still got quite a bit of steering lock going on there, as Bunsell right behind Twilight, who's right behind Hay. Not really a lot of places they can go. Bunsell having a look up the inside, but got to be so careful making that move. Twilight perhaps thinking, I don't want to get edged towards the edge of the track, so I'll just hang on here. Bunsel's not really going too aggressive, is he? He's right on the inside of the corner, so side by side they'll go. Twilight will now have the inside for the left-hander, so Bunsel knows he can't turn in. Lovely bit of racing that. Bunsel was nearly got the move done, but Twilight showing his quality there.
Quality always rises to the top, doesn't it?
Well, the cream.
The cream.
Well, let's see what happens now. Is there? Dave. I think Dave's got a run on Gary. Yes, he has. He's having a look. Gary gives him the room because he's close enough. Can't see exactly what's happened as a result of that, though. Gary stays ahead. Nicely done. I mean, that's the thing. If each other gives a bit of room, you'll find out who's going to be ahead on the exit of the corner.
Bunsel flashing his lights.
Yeah.
Having another look at Dave.
Oh, Dave got a little bit twitchy on the curb there.
Yeah, maybe the lights flashing's working a little bit.
Could be, because he's dropped off, hasn't he, Gary? He's not right behind you now. He's got Bunsel right there.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the steering.
Oh, he's there.
Whether he's he's overheating his tyres with a bit too much steering angle.
He might be. That was a lovely little move there by Bunsel down into the final corner. Dave on the outside now is susceptible. Twilight, is he going to pop his nose in? No, he doesn't, but Fluffy will. Just want to mention as well, on the pack cam, I've not been looking at it lately, but it looks like we're mainly looking at the leaders as we're looking at the action in the pack, with Dave still just ahead of Fluffy. Fluffy giving Dave a helping hand. I don't know if Dave wants it, but he's getting it. This is helping Gary actually pull away, so I think you're right, Gary. If Dave is overheating his tyres, it'll only help Gary pull away, but Fluffy's on a charge. I think he may have a new set of boots on, you know.
Is Fluffy on the fresh tyres now? Did he pit when Bunsel pitted?
He might have done. Or
when he had that little off?
Yeah, it's possible.
Maybe that's helping.
Oh, Dave still is trying to hang it in the inside there. Couldn't quite do it. And interestingly, Fluffy was aware that he was there, gave him space all the way around the corner. But yeah, I just want to mention on the pack cam that it looks like the sort of gap between Steve F1 and Demon R is not getting any smaller. Not really getting any bigger either. Although SGP has got Jason, I think, hunting him down in the distance. Yes, he has. So Gary's got a little bit of a breather here. He could do with a 4-car crash behind him that doesn't involve him. Really, it might help. Oh, Dave's going for the pits. Oh, and Twilight.
It is, and Twilight, yeah.
No, I think Gary was right. Oh, hang on. On board.
That's about half.
Oh,
It's
Can you take us through a lap here?
Oh, Gary's gone off. Oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear. Oh, that's unlucky. I'm guessing this is where the cameraman's gone for a dump.
Yeah, what I heard was Fluffy threw a bag of notes out the window and Gary straight there. Just put him off.
Slipped it in his tongue. Interestingly, Fluffy not quite making a couple of apexes there, but at turn 1, when you've got a car going off in front of you, it's very easy to almost follow him. Much better corner on that occasion through Surtees. I'm guessing that the cameraman has definitely gone for a dump because we're not looking anywhere else. He could have at least put it on the camera of a car that had some action. Maybe he thought there was going to be action now, but yeah. So through the Westfield corner, into Dingle Dell, and then we'll head down into the dip. Now up to Sheen Curve, the tricky right-hander. It's blind on the way in. You've got to make sure you don't dip a wheel on the grass like he very nearly did there. And then into Sterling's a tricky little corner where Fluffy did spin earlier on and ended up into the no-no barrier. And now the final corner into Clearways and Clark curve. You do not want to run wide. And Fluffy's into the pits. So,
again.
Yeah, so maybe he didn't pit earlier, but he's pitting now.
Yeah, maybe he didn't.
You know, maybe that was proof of what you two were saying about if you back off a little bit, the tyres go.
It's still going. At least he didn't spin. He's still going.
Yeah, he did well to keep it straight there.
Well, he did well to put the poos in the kitty litter.
So is Jason. Is he catching up to SGP here?
I think he is, you know, because Jason has been very quick in this car recently. Let's look at the cam as well. Twilight's got Bunsel, well, I can say closing in, but he's just come back from. But you know what? Jason is closing in on SGP. SGP pitted at the same time as Demon R. Jason, when did he pit? It was a few laps later, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
So,
And he's showing good pace around here.
well, I'm thinking that Jason and Steve F1 may be able to get to the end on the set tyres that they're on at the moment. Maybe that's why Steve F1 didn't sort of rush to pit. Maybe he knew how long it would take to pit, or Dave sliding a little bit. It's Twilight right behind him, and Bunsell closing in as they are hunting down Hay. Fluffy having pitted as well. New set of boots. Oh, Dave, I thought he was going tight on the corner, but he wasn't. It was Twilight running a little bit deep. Oh, Dave!
That saves it.
Time there.
He's very...
Twilight's going to have a nice look down here now into Patio Bend.
Well, he was until Bunsell bumped after Dave. Oh, someone's off! Hey! Oh, no, Hay ran deep into the corner, checking out Bunsell's poos in the kitty litter. So all action kicking off with these guys at the moment.
Yeah, and obviously Fluffy's just been in the pits now, and he's on the back of Twilight again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the short pit stop length definitely makes it worth. Oh, Fluffy just got a little bit sideways though, tagged Twilight a little bit there. Bunsell will have a run on the both of them, I think. To be fair, Fluffy letting Twilight back through. That's good.
Yeah,
to
he
see.
definitely lifted off there and letting back through. It was a nice racing there from Fluffy.
Yeah, what I found in the race is as soon as you pitted, you can catch up within a lap easily.
Yeah.
So it's a no-brainer.
Absolutely.
Pitting.
I mean, it's one of the reasons why we were so happy that the pit stops were started taking a bit longer. Fluffy, is he going to have a look? Oh,
He's having a look there.
Oh, Twilight! Oh, dear!
See?
Oh, yeah, see.
There's nice racing by the Fluffy there, you know, having a look into that corner and making Twilight thinking he's there.
Exactly.
Put him out of position and off he goes, an easy overtake.
Yeah. I mean, okay, if you are a stickler for the terminology, put him out of position. He didn't put him, he made him put himself out of position. But
exactly.
I mean, that's the thing. You can have a look and make a mistake, and unfortunately, Twilight was caught there. But in that corner, it is so easy to go wide on your own anyway. But Gary, I think you asked it, was Jason catching up to SGP? I think you've got your answer because he's on him.
Yeah, it's going to be a matter of time now, isn't it? I was also just going to mention as well about the pitting, the short pitting. Is that going to be something that's going to follow going forward onto the last race, or is it going to be back to normal times again?
You know what? I think that's something we may have to have a chat about in the G spot. As Hay is all over the back of Fluffy here. Also noticing that Demon R has dropped away from Steve F1. I think Demon R may be sort of banging his head against a bit of a brick wall here. We know that Steve F1 is good around this track, and the early pit stop for Demon R did not. Well, he's into the pits.
Maybe he's thinking he's not catching him quick enough. Can he pit and come out in front of the pack?
Maybe Fluffy's just pinned it. We saw some brilliant driving from him in that corner on the previous lap, and he's just binned it. So easy to do. Demon R is going to come out ahead of Jason and SGP, so he's been able to pit and come, but only just ahead of. Oh no, that's SGP we're looking at in the back end. Sorry. He's got a few seconds over them, so I think you may be partly right there, Twilight, that Pitt had gone for fresher tyres, knowing now he'll come out ahead, still in second place. Or maybe it's a safety thing. Maybe he was thinking that if he doesn't pit, he might end up going off. But if he does pit, he's got fresh tyres, more chance of staying on. But also, maybe with with Steve F1 being out at the front on his own, not being hassled, maybe he'll get into a bit of a too much of a comfort zone and lose focus for a moment.
Just made that one mistake, then he's on him, innit, with fresher tyres. While Steve F1's tyres wear down near the end of the race. Can he catch him up?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's gone off himself, If you're going to take tyres, don't go and dirty them on your outlap, you donut. Steve F1 won't have seen that, and I doubt Demon R would have told him about that either. But looking at it, I think the gap, I tell you what, let's have a count. Steve F1 is about to get to the sector 1 line, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So Demon R was about 12 to 13 seconds behind Steve F1, but he was already about 5 seconds behind before he pitted. So he's already gained some time. Fluffy's under attack on the pack cam. Yeah, so I think he may have gone for a sort of safe but right choice there. Bit more pace on the fresher tyres. Save's making a mistake himself as Fluffy's under a lot of pressure from Gary. What's going on? And hey,
3 wide.
Breathe in, Gary. I thought you might have at least gone.
Oh, they get round.
Oh,
They get round.
yeah, that they have. I wasn't actually watching that bit, to be honest. I was too busy making noises. Gary trying to put some pressure on Fluffy, but Fluffy holds the inside. Jason is on SGP now as well, so we're looking at the battle between Gary and Fluffy on the pack cam. How are you feeling at the moment with that battle, Gary?
I'm quite enjoying the battle with Fluffy. I mean, he's got really good pace.
Oh no! Oh dear! You've just commentated, cursed yourself. Probably sad if I can remember that.
No.
No. Right, someone check
It's a fair instance.
check it for concussion. To be fair, that was a lot. I didn't see exactly what happened, but I saw wheels on the grass, and the bus went round and round. Yeah. Okay, Jason, he's not been able to attack SGP yet. I'm just wondering if Dave and Fluffy and that gaggle of cars are closing in on Jason and SGP.
Yeah, maybe they are. Maybe Jason's just waiting for that perfect opportunity to get past SGP and make it count.
Yeah, could be.
There's no rush. There's no rush, is there?
No,
He obviously thinks SGP's got good pace at the moment.
Well, yeah. Also, SGP pitted when Demon R first pitted, hasn't pitted a second time. Jason's really just closed the gap in through that right-hander. So, you know what? I think SGP's struggling a bit on his tyres now because it's in those corners, Gary, where Jason's just caught him. Ooh.
Here he goes.
I thought he was going to go for him there, but to be fair, I think Jason made the right decision not going for it, because if SGP had understeered with his dirty tyres, he'd have ended up off the track, whereas now he's got to run down to turn 1.
Yeah, he's set him up here. Gonna try to go around the outside, just stick it around the outside, see if that counts. The better tyres. Oh, he's going for the switch track here.
Oh, he's parked it though, SGP parked it.
Yeah, he has parked it.
I think it's wise because that corner can easily go in the kitty there, can't you? If you push too hard.
Yeah, he might as well lift off and get him on another corner. He's obviously knows he's got better pace.
Yeah.
Just a matter of time now.
Yeah, you can see that SGP struggling a little bit, running wide. Hasn't got the grip in the corners. So this will be the corner that Jason, let's hope he doesn't do what he did at the Nürburgring, where he had a chance to win it, went for the get close and made the mistake. Fluffy on the back of Dave the Harp as well on the pack cam. Jason, he's not going to go. Nah, he ain't going to go. He is going to go round the outside. He is. Oh,
He's
what
not.
a move.
Balls deep.
Absolutely brilliant there by Jason
If
to
he
get
pulls
stick
this one
that.
off, what a mega move.
It's just
Absolutely fantastic move that was.
is.
Great
I
person.
like the way you describe that. If he pulls this one off, he has done. He's now going to come third. But no, I mean, I don't know if he was intending on going for the move or whether he just found out that he ended up there. Either way, great move. Dave the Harp, though, is now under quite a lot of pressure here, guys.
Yeah, it's all backing up here. They're all attacking him, all sides, and can Fluffy make a move on him? Oh, and that Gary going off in the background.
Oh,
I was being a little bit quiet there because I was counting something which would be quite interesting. I didn't see what happened there, unfortunately. You think Gary unlucky.
Yeah, it was Gary.
Yeah, Fluffy.
that was one.
Fluffy showing decent turn of pace once again. I mean, we know that Dave can be quick. Yes, we know he might hurt tyres a little bit, but we know he can be quick. So Fluffy doing well at the moment. Be interesting to see how these two finish their race. But to be fair, Twilight being attacked now by Hay. I mean, it is kind of a difficult situation because if you're like in Twilight's position here, Gary, he's quick enough to keep up with Fluffy and Dave, potentially attack them, but he has got cars with boost right behind him that if he puts his car in the wrong place, they'll be overtaking him.
Yeah, it's in a slightly similar
like this
situation as what Dave was early in the race, when he was trying to hunt from the garage down, but he had the pack behind him, and then it's one of those you either put your tyres trying to push to keep Twilight's off.
Yep. Dear, that.
And you're also looking in your mirrors as well. So
I think he was just laying Gary back through there. He must have felt he took him off earlier.
Yeah. What a move! Yeah. You can tell he's a champion. Excuses, or I'll give him place back. Yeah, mate, no worries. Fluffy trying to attack Dave. Dave going a little bit defensive, and this is a situation as well where the more Dave goes defensive, the slower he's going to be. The slower Fluffy will then be, and it's going to get close. Bunsell up the inside of Gary now. Fluffy really trying to. I mean, this is where I know me personally, I would look at it and go, right, pick the corner, exit you want to be making the move on, and focus on that corner entry. 30s is a good one to do it. And I mentioned about a gap. The gap between Steve F1 and Demon R has come down to 8 seconds. So it is coming down as Fluffy trying to make the move on Dave the Harp. It's coming down quickly, but I don't think it'll come down quick enough. Dave the Harp and Fluffy side by side, so Fluffy's tried to move on the exit at Surtees, round the outside. Can he get it done? Yes, he can.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
another great move.
I tell you
brilliant there by Fluffy.
Fair play to Dave there, though. It takes two to tango as Hay nipped a wheel on the grass.
Yeah, it certainly does.
Yeah, Hay got all out. Oh, just tagged the back of Gary, and he's got a wheel on the grass again. I mean, Gary, the gap was there to go for with Hay getting sideways. And I think Hay's tyres might be a little bit filthy, just like he is. I mean, like, in a flirty sense. And he can't say he is. I see some of his messages. He's only 35. You don't get as grey as he does without a bit of stress in your life. He's not 55 either, anyway. Oh, Dave's gone off big time into turn one. Disaster. I don't know if he was
39 minutes into the race here.
Yeah. Well, we're on to the last lap of the race. I don't. Oh, Gary's. I think this Hayes just squeezed or edged, forced, penetrated his way through on Gary there.
Yeah, there was a slight bit of contact there. I'm not sure how it happened.
Oh. Yeah, Hayes got sideways again. Oh, and he collected Gary. Oh, dear. And Twilight. And,
Gary's off.
Oh, dear. I was going to say.
Oh, Gary's broken down.
Well, I was going to say we'll have to see if Gary's going to have any babies, seeing as he was penetrated.
It's the final lap of the race. It's come so quick.
Yeah, so it's Steve F1 final lap, final corner. Is it a surprise that he was going to win at Brands Hatch? Maybe not, but he's had a fantastic race. How far behind is Demon R? 1, 2, 3.
He did close in that gap a bit.
Yeah, definitely. So Demon R finishing second. Jason's going to finish in third. Unless he bins it. Don't bin it, Jason. Do not bin it now. No, it's safe. Third place for Jason. SGP in fourth. This could be huge for the championship standings. But a good result for him anyway. Fluffy in fifth with Twilight right behind him in sixth. And then Bunsell and Dave the Harp. You know what? I don't know if would just say he was a bit lucky. I don't know. I mean, Dave the Harp had his off at turn one. Hay and Gary had their coming together. So yeah, a couple of places gained maybe, but
such a shame.
Yeah, you gotta be.
Yeah, he was holding them all back for quite a long time, Dave, out there. So
definitely,
he'll still be annoyed with that result.
Yeah, well, you got to be in it to win it, and they were definitely in it. That's for sure. I mean, an interesting race with a lot going on. First off, I will say thank you guys for joining us on commentary with this one. I know it's never easy to just come and do commentary, especially if you don't know exactly what's going to be on the screen. But let's all hope that Mr. Sniffles is feeling better soon. and he can not only join us in the commentary box but also on the racetrack. And for anyone that wonders, I am on about Ray, but Mr. Sniffles is now what I'm calling him. So yeah, thank you very much for joining us on commentary. I've done it on my own before, and it can be done, but it's horrible to do it because you do need people to bounce off in a figurative sense, not a literal sense. But yeah, so thank you very much for that. I think for the most part, guys, it looked like a very interesting race in the pack.
Did you? Oh man, done well. It crashed the last 10 minutes.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's very interesting. A very close race and some great overtakes and some suspicious ones as well, but not so many this time, I don't think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've always said when it comes to returning to a racetrack, especially one like Brands Hatch, where it's so easy to make mistakes, and it's so easy to crash, and sometimes if you're crashing, you may take someone with you. But what I hope to see is improvements each time. And although, yes, there were I do think we've seen overall improvements. There was a lot less risky side-by-sides through the first corner and through that back section of the track. And that, for me, is brilliant to see. And the thing is, what it ends up is... So I said it at the time, when people give each other space, it results in better racing. For example, if we had F1 rules applied to the DGT League, when Jason attempted his overtake on SGP could have just pushed him off the track. But by doing that, you end up saying, well, in Formula 1, technically, yeah, Verstappen did it Brazil, didn't he? So yeah, if you're being over, yeah, just I'm edging you towards the edge of the track. Yeah, I don't have to leave you room. But what that would have resulted in would have been Jason in the gravel and extremely pissed off. Yeah. Now, and that is one of the reasons why I know in DGT League we have that rule of always give the space. It doesn't matter. There is no such thing as my corner. Always give the space as long as the car's there fairly, because then it ends up with Jason making an amazing overtake, Fluffy doing the same to Dave a few laps later, Bunzel having a sneaky overtake but a fair overtake in the final corner. It results in much better racing. Another thing I will mention quickly is unfortunately no post-race comments this week because our intrepid reporter is dipping his microphone somewhere else this week in Paris. So I hope Rich has had a good holiday, but yeah, it doesn't. Yeah. He hasn't asked anybody for their post-race comments, and I wasn't going to ask anybody else to do it on his behalf either, because it's something that Rich offered to do, and I wasn't going to sort of. It was okay if you wanted, that's fine, but I wasn't going to sort of put it on anybody else.
Yeah, maybe you'll find a G spot out there as well. So you never know.
Well, we're about to get to the G spot. But to be fair, I mean, actually, you know what? I think it is time for the G spot.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Right, okay, so this is the bit that Gary knows bugger all about, even though you are the reason the G-spot exists. But
what can I say? I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah. Well, it is.
Maybe not after.
Well, maybe not. Well, the reason the G-spot came to be is from you earning that phenomenal record earlier in the season, where on commentary, myself and Ray at the end of the race talked about a few different things, a few incidents that had happened, not just involving yourself, but we kind of called it Gary's Corner. But that kind of, it basically just means, it sounded like we're just talking about you. So it got changed to the G spot. And basically it's a part of the race video now where we'll happily, openly talk about perhaps odd things that have happened in races, or to be able to explain a bit more about certain things. So for example, the pit stops here were very short, and that was very odd. So it would be fair if somebody asked the question, was something wrong? How come the pit stops were so short? I'm interested to see what your two thoughts might be on it, because I think I know why, but it'd be interesting for me to see what you guys might think the reason is. Twilight, start with you.
Well, I basically think because the pit entry is like really short and the pit exit's really short, it just makes it that much shorter, as in the time to go in and come out.
Okay.
And different to other tracks, it's slightly longer entry and exit.
Okay. Any thoughts from you, Gary?
A big mix. I mean, I don't know the answer, but kind of like before they did it, there was certain tracks which was really short, and it was like a stupid like pit stop, like 2 seconds, something like that. But then there's been other tracks which have got relatively short pit stops, whether it's as short as Brands Hatch, but it's still long. So I'm a bit confused on it, to be honest. Why it's so short on this track?
Yeah, it is. It's definitely a baffling one. Whose partner was polite enough to knock on the door to see if you're still busy, or was someone putting the drink down?
Not mine.
All right. I thought I heard a knock, as if someone would knock. Knock, come in, just see you. Are you busy still?
Avon lady.
Yeah, Avon lady. Taxi. Okay, I can give you what I think the reason is for the pit lane time. I think Twilight's hit the nail on the head. I think it's because it's a very short pit entry and it's a very short pit exit. Now, the pit exit is very short. So when we were at Spa was taking about 31 seconds to like get in the pit, out the pit, and up to speed. So basically, if you were 1 second behind someone heading into the final corners and you pitted, when you come out the pits, you'd be 32 seconds behind them.
That's a long.
And that is a long pit stop. But that's kind of what I would expect in reality for Spa, because it is a long pit lane, and it is a very slow pit lane as well. It's got a very tight entry, it's got a very tight exit. It does take a long time to get through that pit lane. So we did notice that it would appear that the length of the pit lane does have an effect, but also the length of the track. What we seem to think is that the longer the track, the longer the pit lane. So for example, Le Mans, that pit entry is also quite short, really, very similar to Brands Hatch. And the pit exit is really short. Top time was still 20-30 seconds. So we
because of the length of the track.
Potentially because of the length of the track. Now, I will admit, I did not know that Brands Hatch was going to be 10 seconds because I wasn't available to practice on Monday, which is why I pitted after 10 minutes thinking I'm going to get a massive bloody boost, and I got bugger all, and that really baffled me. Whereas a few that did practice would have found that out. It definitely came as a surprise to me. Do I think it'll happen at the next race, Monza? No, because, again, yes, it's a very, very short pit entry, and yes, it's a fairly short pit exit, but I think the pit lane itself is quite long, and the circuit is quite long, even though the lap times are, about 1:30s, I guess. So I do think it'll still be 20 plus seconds at Monza, but I'm definitely going to check.
Yeah, especially if they're going quite fast down that straight, aren't they, as well?
Yes. No, it is.
Get up to speed.
Yeah, because it's one thing, and this is one of the reasons why we talk about these things in the G spot, is because, I'm going to put it to you as, if you pitted fully expecting to come out with nobody behind you, there could be the possibility that you wouldn't even consider looking in your mirrors when you exit the pits, because you're not expecting there to be anybody behind you. So if you haven't really noticed, holy crap, that was a quick pit stop, and you come out not looking in, you could quite easily do something that you don't mean to and wipe out a load of cars that are behind you. So it's, it's definitely a bit of an odd one. What I will ask is, have a think if there was anything that you may have seen in that race or from the previous race, actually, that you may want to ask, or if you have any questions about ARC, also feel free to ask those. So I'll give you a few moments to think about that. While I said I was going to mention about cars sort of going side by side into corners, but then one of them going for the apex. There's a scenario that happens. It's not easy necessarily to describe, but we've seen it a few times today. So there was Fluffy and Twilight, I think, were side by side heading into Hawthorns, the right hander at the end of the long back straight. And Twilight backed out of it, and Fluffy went for the apex. We then saw a few laps later that Fluffy and Dave the Heart were side by side, and Fluffy didn't go for the apex. And we saw with Jason, he didn't go for the apex when he was next to Steve SGP. And sometimes, I know I personally, when I'm racing with people, it may look like I've just turned into a corner thinking, well, I don't care if they're there. However, I know for... Okay.
Hello?
Okay.
Hello? Obviously someone else wanted to have a little chat then.
Yeah.
What happened?
I heard a woman talking. Yeah.
I went blank.
All right. So, hang on. So, are you telling me you have blackouts and then start talking like a woman?
No, it just went blank on mine. I didn't hear nothing.
Like a TV came on or something.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, so, right. So, one of the things that I know I personally do is if I'm side by side with someone, let's say I'm on the left-hand side of someone and we're going into a right-hand corner. As we're going into the corner, I'll be giving that car space. That's what I will be attempting to do. I will also, though, be looking at the radar. And I will have zero intention of going anywhere near the apex curb, or if it was the other way round, the exit curb on the exit of the corner. However, if I see on the radar, okay, I'm ahead now, I'll go into the apex of the corner, or roles reversed, I may use all of the track on the exit. Now, it may look like I've just gone, well, I'm going here, I don't care where you are, but it's not the case. It is a case of, okay, I've seen I'm ahead, I know I can now move. Most of the time it works. Sometimes it may result in nudging someone and it's, oh shit, sorry, I thought I was far enough ahead. So with Fluffy and Twilight when it happened, it may have looked like Fluffy just sort of went for the apex, but I actually think it was more a case of he was able to spot on his radar that he was ahead, and that's why he then went for the apex. And the reason I say that is because when he was side by side with cars through the whole of the corner, he made no attempt to go for the apex. So that's something that I know I've wanted to explain, because I know I've done it to a lot of people, go into a corner side by side, and on the exit, for example, I will just sweep to the edge of the track, and it may be easy for them to think, what can he'd have hit me off if I'd have been there. Yes, I would have done, but I did
or turned
check.
into you.
Exactly, but I did check to see if you were there or not. Now, admittedly, and I think I've talked to you two guys about this before as well, the triangle on the radar is a deceptive little bastard. Because it can make you think that you are ahead when you're not quite ahead, or it might make you think there's a bit of space that you can move to because the arrow goes to a point rather than being a square. So it is. It does come with a risk, and that's why I would always sort of.
And maybe that's what Twilight was doing when he went off on was it Hawthorns? He's trying to leave Fluffy a bit of space because he thought he was there, but he's like just dropped off.
Yeah, that's a good point actually. Yeah, so he was trying to give Fluffy the space. He could have gone for the apex, but he thought Fluffy was there, so he's giving him the space with a little bit too much speed. But that's one of those things where I can imagine Twilight would have beat himself up a little bit about that. But
Do you know?
go on.
Do you know what? Possibly, I don't know if it'd be a good idea or no. But instead of like same as the radar, but if GT did another option of flicking through, which was like on a live bird's eye view of the two cars, you can see who's ahead in the space into the corner, so it's a bit more realistic.
It would be very useful, or even if they had the option of things may be more possible on the PS5 because there is a bigger potential for things like having a verbal spotter that the game has that lets you, a bit like in NASCAR, that lets you know car next to you, and could tell you when you physically are ahead or you're not ahead. That for me would be very handy, but at the same time it would do my head in having someone talking to me all the time like that when I'm racing. I've tried it and it is a bit frustrating, but it can be very useful. I do wish that they would do something with the radar though to make it much clearer, and the reason I say this is I watched the Super GT video not that long ago where, you know how we've been saying about how we think Gran Turismo have been watching our videos because we do things and then they seem to do it. So they had the Nations, I think a Nations event or the daily races with the pickup trucks, right?
Yeah.
And Super GT, I watched a bit of one of his videos where he was racing the pickup trucks, and I could not believe where the arrow was showing the other cars be, right? Because he was he's kind of side by side with another truck, but you could see the whole front end of the truck next to him, right? It's like the truck was actually a little bit ahead of him. But on the radar, it was showing the other guy's arrow being behind him.
So maybe they need to change the size of the arrows, the different size of the car. They've just got one arrow. In the middle of the car.
Yeah,
now, any car.
Or from the back of the car. So if the bottom of the triangle is the back of the car, then yeah, so it was, or whatever. I mean, I hadn't necessarily thought of it as like different size. They might not have different size triangle, but it is a good point, and it is something to consider. Like, I'm sure we've all done it at different points. You've overtaken someone and you go to pull in front of them on a straight and you tap them, or someone's overtaking you, you go to duck into their slipstream and you catch their rear end. And it could be that the car's a little bit longer than what it appears on the radar. So I think that's an interesting one, and I do hope that they could do something more dynamic with it. A bit like Gary says, even if it wasn't a sort of live sort of from the top view, but if it was a more accurate vehicle shape and positioning, then that would be massively useful, because we also know the mirrors can be deceptive as well.
Definitely.
Yeah. Now, I'm pretty sure that one of the cars that's coming up in the open wheels trio series we're doing, I don't think it's the X, I think it might be the old F1 car. I think with that one, its mirrors make cars behind look closer than they are, which personally I think is a good thing. I'd rather have it make them look closer than have it make them look further away, because if they look closer, you'll be prepared for that. Whereas when it
give you that extra second or two, whatever the gap, realistic gap is, and it'll probably cause less contact, maybe.
Exactly, because if you're looking at your mirrors, he's like, oh, he's close, so you're a bit, oh, do I need to give him a bit of room? And okay, they may be a bit further back, but like you say, Gary, it's potentially going to result in less crashes.
Yeah. So how many people use the mirrors in the inside view? Not many.
Well, that's an interesting one. There's not many people in our league that use the in-car view.
No.
I mean, I'm one of them. I still use the look behind button. That's the one I rely on as a more accurate representation of where cars are around, especially when I can actually see the rear of the car in my look behind view. I only use the mirrors as an initial guide. Now, that's like the rear view mirror that's hanging in the car. Some don't have it. What I do find is very useful though on the in-car view is the cars that have a screen show a camera out the back of the car. That I do find useful, and the Ferrari has that, I think. I find the in-car camera a lot more beneficial than trying to use the mirrors, because with some of the cars you have to look left or right to be able to look in the left or right mirrors. The problem is, if you're pressing to look left or right, you have a tendency to start turning when you don't mean to. So you can be looking left to see if there's anything in your mirrors, and your car's turning left as well, and then when you go back to looking forwards, you're not going the direction you wanted to. So,
no, you don't need that, do you?
No. Right, is there any questions that you want to ask or anything you want to discuss while we're in the G-spot? Anything goes, so she says.
Gary?
Well, really, I think the things I've probably spoken to already chatted about already, so no, I'm reasonably happy.
No problem.
I've got one, I think.
Oh God, go on.
We're going to use a Dodge again.
Well, it's you know what? It's a fair question, because personally, I think the Dodge is a brilliant car. The Dodge Viper road car, and I think if I'd have had a choice, I'd have picked the Dodge Viper. Now, when
you told me to. Thanks for that.
I did not tell you to. A lot of people asked me which one should they pick, or which one would I pick, and I was not answering them because us admins said that we would not give our opinion. Well, we could tell what has strengths and weaknesses, but we're not going to tell someone what we think they should drive or what we would. Go on, Gary.
I personally wanted to go for something different. That's why I chose the Dodge, just something a bit more outside of my comfort zone, and just see if it worked. And it seemed to work to a certain degree. And with that car, it was a good balanced car.
Yeah, it is a good balanced car. And Steve F1 can't get on with it, so I think we should use it. But whether we will or not, I don't know. Because of the timing of GT7, and there's other cars on the list still. That if we stay on GT Sport beyond the open wheel series, and we're going to be looking at another championship, there's a lot of other cars that I think would potentially come ahead of doing one with the Dodge. There's been talk on occasion of could we do another championship with a car we've used previously. That's something that has been discussed.
So that's what we're doing, aren't we? We're going in this
with
AR.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
what we're basically doing.
Yes, definitely. And that's one of the reasons why any sort of thoughts of doing another championship in a car we've already used were put to a back burner, because this idea gave us the opportunity to do an event with a car we've already used, but to be able to give all of the drivers the input on which car it would be. Now, okay, some may not have voted for the Porsche, but at least they were given the possibility to vote all the way through.
I basically voted for the Dell'Asino.
Yeah. So did I. That's the one I wanted. It's not the first one I voted for, but yeah. Yeah, right, okay. I do know that through the course of that race, a few drivers did get a little bit battered and bruised. But do not fear, because help is available. Because Sting has launched a new aromatherapy range.
Oh God, here we go.
And is marketing it as it's a massage in a bottle. Yeah. Come on, at least Ray goes, okay. Nothing from you.
Brilliant.
Nothing.
God, Twilight hammering. It's fucking
Oh, that was rubbish. He's laying us down now. You need to nick them all off Rich Blues again.
I do. Why do you think I've had no jokes? He's gone on holiday. I've got nothing.
It's a bit of a coincidence, that, isn't it? Twilight?
It is, isn't it?
It is.
What I will say, though, is we've got one more race to go at Monza. The championship will be decided there. I don't know. At this current moment in time, I do not know what the current point situation is at the top. However, there's still battles going on all the way down the field. So I think there's still plenty to play for. It was unfortunate that for today's race, we had 6 people that were unable to race through different circumstances, whether it be work, busy, going on holidays, or having no internet, as a couple of the drivers currently are in that situation with moving house and different things like that. So, yeah, a bit of a shame, but to be fair, if there was ever a track you wanted a few less drivers, I think Brands Hatch might have been it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Whereas Monza, a little bit more open, a couple of tricky chicanes, but it could definitely be an interesting race, that's for certain. And let's face it, the Ferrari is going home to Monza. Yeah. Right, guys, thank you very much for joining me on commentary. And
Absolutely no problem whatsoever.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
thank you very much. Let's check out the confirmed race result and the championship standings. Steve F1 then taking the victory in the maximum 20 points. Demon R second place, 17 for him. Jason finishing in third, bags a decent 15 points. SGP in fourth, that could be costly in the championship standings. Fluffy finished in fifth with Twilight sixth, Bunsell seventh, Dave the Harp eighth, Hay ninth, and unfortunately formerly Gavin did not finish. And there was only one report, which was regarding the incident at the end with Hay and Gavin. Details of that is on the Facebook page. And let's have a look then at the current standings with one to go. Steve F1 now leading the way on 134 points, and he's 3 ahead of both SGP and Demon R. They're tied second place on 131. Jason's in fourth place on 97 points, with Fluffy in fifth on 82. Dave Harp in sixth now on 70 points, and Bunsell, I think in his highest ever championship standing position, 7th place, 50 points. He's 3 ahead of Twilight, who is now 2 ahead of Conrad. Rich Blues drops down to 10th on 44 points, with SRI dropping to 11th on 43. Hay moves up to 12th place on 33 points, while Gary is 13th on 31. Jimmy, Art Pal and Mitchell drop down with not being able to race, so 14th, 15th and 16th. For them with 30 points, 29 points and 25 points, and Tyler still 17th on 10. But what can we say about that gap up at the top? 3 points between 3 drivers with 1 race to go and the championship on the line. I think it might be the first time in DGT history where the championship will be decided between 3 drivers at the last race. We've had it with 2 drivers before, but I don't think we've ever had it with 3. And Monza, the Temple of Speed, it's going to be somebody's temple, that's for certain. But let's not forget, it's not just about those 3 at the front, there's plenty to fight for down the order. With Jason still under a bit of pressure from Fluffy in 5th. Dave still applying the pressure to Fluffy. Bunsell, you can't catch Dave, I don't think, unless he takes the win and Dave doesn't score. But Bunsell's going to have to be careful of Twilight and Conrad and Rich and SRI behind him. It's ever so close there. And then there's the battle for 12th as well. So plenty to play for in the final round of La Coppa Dell'Asino Rampante. Rampante. And as I mentioned, it's going to be from Monza. So if you want to know what's going to happen there and who's going to be crowned either a 7-time, a 4-time, or a 3-time DGT champion, there's only one thing to do, and that's join us for all of the action. Have a good one, everybody. Thanks for watching. Hit like, subscribe, bang that notifications bell, and we'll see you all again soon.